I don't know, but I remember when she was making fun of the guy who got his dick chopped off and the wife threw it in the blender.
Right.
Or he threw it in the garbage disposal, and she was laughing about what it must have looked like. His little wee rolling around inside the blender.
She's
like
no
that.
one wants that. She's not anybody's
but
choice.
That's a crazy thing to laugh at. A guy getting his chopped off and someone like he's getting mutilated.
Yeah.
His humanity is taken from him. His manhood is literally getting ground up. And she thought it was funny.
You know Hollywood is having a rough week when Joe Rogan makes the whole internet say, wait, what? This time, people are talking about Ellen DeGeneres, the woman who spent almost 2 decades showing America that she was one of the nicest people in Hollywood, while making billions along the way. She built her whole image around one simple message, be kind.
A lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced. People that are like that all the time, she doesn't seem nice. It's very forced. And whatever, you're allowed to be a bitch, right? You're allowed to be a bitch. You're allowed to be nasty to people. You're accomplished. You're a comedian. You did the whole thing. What you're not allowed to do is have a Guantanamo Bay situation in the backstage.
I got kicked out of show business. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, because I'm mean. Yeah. Yeah, you can't be mean and be in show business.
So, where did all of this come from? It did not come out of nowhere. Years before Joe Rogan ever mentioned Ellen's name, people were already starting to see cracks in her perfect public image.
You worked for Ellen as well.
Yeah, I did the first 2 years on that show.
And she was
She was rough. She was the C word. Yeah.
How was she mean to you? Like, give an example of like a day. Like, was it an energy thing? Was she just short with you? I mean, what was exactly?
It was like
happening?
if you didn't pitch in her wheelhouse, then she looked at you like you had just stabbed her puppy. And then there was this process of pushing people out of the circle. And you want to be in the circle because there's a lot of fear going on.
Yeah.
And you're in or out. So there's a lot of it didn't really bother me that much because I'd written on a lot of shows before and I kind of knew what it was like to have tough bosses.
Yeah.
I wrote for Bill Maher.
Sure.
And so I was just tough enough, but then there was these first-time writers who were, they used to cry. There was a lot of crying in the hallways.
Wow.
Yeah.
Once the studio lights went off, a very different Ellen started appearing in people's stories. Former employees had a lot to say. Some celebrities also talked about uncomfortable experiences with her. Suddenly, her clean and friendly image did not look so clean anymore.
Producer who worked with her takes issue with how she's addressing allegations that there was a toxic work environment at her legendary talk show.
The essence of the special really was totally a lie.
Hedda Muscat says Ellen's special hits all the wrong notes.
I felt Ellen was not taking responsibility at all. She was sugarcoating it.
The Ellen DeGeneres Show went off the air after 19 seasons in May 2022, mired in controversy, including allegations of racism and sexual misconduct. Ellen addressed the allegations back in 2020.
And if I've ever let someone down, if I've ever hurt their feelings, I am so sorry for that.
In the special, Ellen describes the work environment she remembers.
It was a family to me. We had so much fun together at that show. We laughed all the time. We played games all the time.
I felt it was not a family. It was an atmospheric fear.
People spoke to 10 former employees from the Ellen DeGeneres Show, and none of them wanted their names made public. They believed that speaking out could hurt their careers. The stories kept getting worse. Some employees said they were fired after taking medical leave. Others said they lost their jobs after taking time off for a family funeral. One former employee said they became so tired of comments about their race that they finally quit. But it gets even stranger. Several former employees also said managers gave them a strange warning. If you see Ellen around the office, do not talk to her. To be fair, most of these employees blamed the executive producers and senior managers for the bad working environment, but not everyone believed Ellen should get a free pass. As one former employee basically said, it is her name on the show. So when things go wrong behind the scenes, people will naturally expect answers from Ellen. Comedian Kevin Porter asked people on Twitter to share their
medical
bad
leave.
experiences
Others said they
with
lost
Ellen.
their jobs after
He also
taking time off
promised to
attend
donate
a
money
family.
to
Joe
charity
Rogan
for every
ever brought
story.
Ellen's name up.
He probably never
Hollywood is
expected the
having a
huge
rough
number
week
of
when Joe
responses
Rogan
he
manages
received.
to make the internet
There were more than
collectively go,
2,600
"Wait,
replies,
what?"
and many people
Nearly
who
2
had met
decades
Ellen
convincing
had
America
something
she
negative
was the
to say.
nicest person in
There were
Hollywood.
so many
Built her
stories that it
reputation on the
became hard to
message,
believe
"Be
that
kind."
every
Family
story
funeral.
was completely
One
made
former
up.
employee even
Some
claimed they
people
got
said
so
Ellen
fed
did
up
not
with
want
comments
anyone
about their
looking at
race
her or
that they
talking to
eventually
her.
walked out for good.
Others said she
But
would
wait,
not thank
it gets
people who
weirder.
brought her coffee
Several former
or other
employees
things.
also alleged
Some
that
claimed
managers
she would
gave them
completely
one
ignore
bizarre
the
piece of
audience when
advice.
she did not need
If
to
you
speak
happen
to
to
them.
run into Ellen around
One
the
waitress
office,
who served
don't
Ellen
talk
and her
to her.
wife at a
Now,
restaurant
to be fair,
said Ellen
most of them
insulted
blamed
her
the
because of her
executive
chipped
producers
nail
and
polish.
senior management
A
for
week
the
later,
day-to-day
the
toxicity.
waitress was
But
reportedly
not
fired
everyone
after
thought
Ellen
deserved the
complained about
pass.
her to the
As
managers.
one former employee basically
And that
put
was
it,
not even the
at
worst
the end
part.
of the day, it's
Most
her name on the
complaints
show.
came from people who worked on
and
her
the thing
show.
is,
There
Ellen
were many
exhibits
reports of a
exactly the
toxic
same pattern.
workplace,
People just haven't
racism,
picked up on it
unfair
yet.
treatment,
If you thought the
insults,
criticism of
and
Ellen
people being
DeGeneres
fired
only
for
came from
speaking up
former
or
employees,
even taking
think
medical
again.
or bereavement
Even
leave.
people who spent years
All
working
of this
beside
started
her
a
have
much
described
bigger
a very
conversation.
different atmosphere
One
behind
Twitter
the
thread
scenes.
helped turn what
And
many
when you
people
start looking
called
back
an
at
open
some of
secret
Ellen's most
into a
uncomfortable
public
celebrity
topic.
interviews,
Now Joe
it's
Rogan is
easy to
bringing
see
those
why so
old
many
controversies
viewers have
back
begun
into the
re-examining
spotlight,
her legacy.
and Hollywood probably
One person
wishes
who spoke
people
out
would
was
stop
DJ
asking
Tony.
questions.
The Ellen situation.
Yeah.
You know, people found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, Ellen's actually a bitch. And everybody, whoa,
Yeah.
can't believe it. And she lost everything. She fell apart, disappeared, because people found out that this character that she was portraying in a half an hour on a television show is not really who she was. My buddy Greg, who was one of her writers, was like, she's a piece of shit. And he was like, she's a monster.
At this
Ellen
point,
exploited young
Ellen
artists.
already had a
And now he's
reputation for
exposing
allegedly
exactly
making
how
people's
Ellen is
lives
taking
difficult
advantage of
behind
young
the
celebrities.
scenes.
And
But you might be
DL Hughley isn't
asking,
holding back
what
on
does
her.
any of this
The
have to do
American
with
actor
Jeffrey
and comedian
Epstein?
has always been an
Well,
outspoken
this is
voice
where
in
things
Hollywood.
get
She worked with
strange.
Diddy to
The
do
internet started connecting
as
different
well as
things,
the fact that
and I am
Okay.
going to explain
So
how.
at this point, Ellen
It
already
started
had a
on the Joe
reputation
Rogan
for allegedly
experience when
making
Aaron Rodgers pointed out something that looked familiar to him. He said the set of the
temple
Ellen
on Epstein's
DeGeneres
private
show looked
island.
very similar
I mean,
to the temple
hold
on
up.
Epstein's
According
private
to him,
island.
the set of
Look
the
at the
Ellen
two pictures
DeGeneres
side
show
by
looks
side.
suspiciously similar to
Am
the
I
type team
crazy,
that can
or
build
do they really
literally
look similar?
any set. Wishes everyone
Now,
would stop
if you are a
asking
billionaire
questions,
with
bringing
almost
those old
unlimited money
controversies back
and
into
a
the
team that
spotlight.
can build
And
almost
let's just
anything
say,
you want,
Hollywood
why would you
probably-
create a
it all
set that
started on
people
the
would
Joe
compare
Rogan
to that
experience,
temple?
when Aaron
Maybe it
Rodgers
is just a
pointed out something
coincidence,
he thought looked
but
a
it was
little
enough to make people
familiar.
online start
She alleged
investigating.
that the
No.
I know Jamie does.
What is it?
It's on the set of a famous talk show that's now not on anymore.
Oh, Ellen? Was that Ellen?
Yeah.
Really?
Just look at the temple and then look at the...
Let me see Ellen's background. What? Oh, similar. That looks like a building, though. Like
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Is that a building in L.A.? That might be a building in L.A. Right, but I mean, it's supposed to be a background of... Yeah.
That's strange to use the same.
It is, but it's, you know, I mean, it's whatever. I'm not that impressed with that. That could just be coincidental. There's a lot of people.
Ask Alex about that.
Yeah. Well,
If you have spent more than 5 minutes on the
But
internet,
you're probably
you already
wondering,
know how this works.
what does any of that
when people
have to
talk
do with
about
Jeffrey
Epstein's
Epstein?
world, one
Grab
thing
your
is
popcorn,
clear.
because the
guest
internet
list
did what
was
the
not
internet
like a
does
normal
best.
neighborhood
It
party.
started
Outrage growing as new details emerge from the millions of newly released Justice Department records on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. They include Epstein's messages with powerful men. In these messages from 2013, the convicted sex offender connecting New York Giants co-owner Steve Tisch with various women. In one exchange, Tisch asked about a woman writing pro or civilian. In a statement, Tisch acknowledging a brief association where we exchanged emails about adult women, but saying I did not take him up on any of his invitations and never went to his island. As we all know now, he was a terrible person and someone I deeply regret associating with.
If you wanted to
By
be
the way,
part of Epstein's
isn't it kind
island
of ironic
parties,
and a little
rituals, or
depressing
whatever
that
was
many of these
happening
alleged
there,
predators
you had
seem
to
to
be
buy
rich,
themselves a few
very
more years
rich
of
and
freedom
famous.
just by
And
writing a
considering the
couple of
things
big
people
checks,
allegedly
donate
saw
a
and
few
kept
million
quiet
to
about,
charity,
these
and
were probably
boom,
not the
suddenly
nicest people
everyone's
in the world.
talking about what a generous
It was
philanthropist
basically a
you
group
are,
of billionaires
instead of
who knew how
asking
to
the
smile,
really
act
uncomfortable
friendly,
questions.
and protect
Funny
their
how
public
money
image.
can buy a reputation.
Does that remind you
or
of
at least
anyone?
rent
There were
one for a
also
while.
people who were connected to both Ellen and Epstein.
New photos we haven't seen before of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell with very high-profile people, celebrities, people like Mick Jagger and Michael Jackson, like you showed, also like British royalty and actors. All of that we sort of knew was happening. I'm going to highlight specifically two for the public interest, and that is President Clinton and President Trump in these files. We've got new images now, some showing President Clinton in a pool with Ghislaine Maxwell and a person who is redacted. Now, we know some of the redactions are because people are underage or because people are victims. We don't know anything about these people in these specific photos other than they're redacted, but this is getting a lot of attention here. Then President Trump. You see pictures of what look like a drawer with several photos in them of President Trump before he was president, younger version of himself, and several women there, as you see, some of them not wearing a whole lot of clothing. President Trump is also referenced several times in flight logs and in some cases even with his former wife Marla and his daughter Tiffany, who would have been a child at the time and a nanny traveling along with Epstein that were in these files.
By the way,
now,
is it
if you've
not
spent more
strange
than
and
5
sad
minutes on the
that
internet,
some people
you
accused
already
of
know how
serious
this
crimes
works.
seem
If
to
there's
buy
one thing we know
themselves
about
more
Epstein's
time by
world,
writing big
it's
checks?
this. The guest
They
list
donate
wasn't
millions
exactly
to
your
charity,
average neighborhood
and
barbecue.
suddenly everyone starts talking about
you
what
want.
great philanthropists
Why on
they
earth
are,
would you end up with
instead of
something that
asking
gets
difficult
people making that
questions.
comparison?
It is almost like
Coincidence?
money can buy
Maybe.
a good reputation,
Enough to send the internet
or at
into
least rent
detective
one for a
Just answer
while.
the question. Is your money dirty money?
No, it's not. So, in fact...
Why is it not dirty money?
Because I earned it.
But you earned it...
I earned it.
We went back to this before. You earned it. You earned it advising the worst people in the world, right? That do enormous bad things, and just to make more money.
So, instead of asking me the question, should you take the money? Because I think it's a legitimate question.
You think it's a legitimate question?
Yes, no question. Because I think ethics is always a complicated subject, but I can tell you that with the money I gave to help try to eradicate polio in Pakistan and India, instead of asking me whether that money should be given to these children for vaccines, I think you might want to ask their mothers who received the vaccine, who know their child now won't get polio, and ask them if Epstein should have helped these people. You're a mathematician. If we walked into that clinic where they're giving that money out to these people that are in the most dire straits of poverty and sickness, and told them that the money was coming from class 3 predator? Tier 1.
What's tier 1's the highest and worst?
No, I'm the lowest.
I'm the lowest. You're the lowest. Okay, tier 1, you're the lowest. But a criminal.
Yes.
That the money came from them. What percentage of people do you estimate? I understand you don't like probabilities. Do you estimate would say, I don't care, I want the money for my children?
I would say everyone said, I want the money for my children.
Did they know where the money came from?
I think if you told them, if I told them the devil,
100%.
The devil himself said, I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question.
Sorry.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Did anyone notice that he took a few seconds to answer when someone asked him if he was the devil? I mean, I could understand a long pause if they asked him for the capital of Kiribati. But having to think that long about whether you are the devil or not, that pause certainly makes people wonder about the kind of person he was.
He gives me his foot, and I'm looking at his foot, and it has an ankle monitor on. But to me, what it looks like, it has a plastic thing wrapped around his foot with a black box on it with a blinking light, right? And I go, what is this? And he flips around and he goes, take off your shirt. I froze. And the woman comes over and starts unbuttoning my blouse. She takes it off. Then she takes off my bra. And then she walks out. I sat in that room, staring at the bottle of a Fiji water while a man was groping me and masturbating And then when he was done, he stood up and he left. I couldn't scream. I didn't ask for help. And I thought this was all a dream. I sat back at the table and I answered the phone calls same exact way I did before. I never told any soul about this. I thought I'm going to die if I do.
Rosa says Epstein abused Florida every weekend after that. She is still haunted by an encounter she had one morning at Epstein's mansion with a man in uniform, someone she thought was a sheriff.
I thought to myself, thank you. This is going to be the day that this all stops. Followed, the sheriff walked in, Jeffrey. They giggled, they laughed together, they buddied it up. I just stood in the kitchen looking at this sheriff, thinking to myself, at some point he's gonna turn to me and be like, who are you? And he walked out.
Didn't say anything to you?
Nothing. And then I figured it all out. He's currently serving his sentence while he's doing the same thing to everybody, and nobody's there to help us. He was wearing an ankle monitor. He didn't stop what he was doing while convicted. He was doing the same thing.
Rosa said Epstein would be in Florida every weekend after that.
Thought she'd ever
she
make
said
it
she
off
was still
Epstein's
troubled by
island
an
alive.
encounter she had one
She
morning
also
at
shared one of
Epstein's
the most
mansion
disturbing
with a
things
man
she
wearing a
witnessed.
uniform.
According to her,
she thought the man
some
was
of the
a
girls
sheriff.
became so desperate
You've
that
told
they
me that you thought this is not going to end until he dies.
Correct. I ran around New York City as a child, trying to get an STD to kill a child because I didn't believe the government would ever stop him. That wasn't my job to stop him.
Rosa has also spent years wondering why no one at her modeling agency intervened, even as they saw her in distress.
They saw me drink every night. I would just scratch myself until I bleed. And as I was spiraling down, as I was losing weight, my hair was falling out. I kept this secret inside me for so long.
But earlier this year, that painful secret was suddenly exposed. The Justice Department released millions of Epstein files, including years of correspondence between Rosa and Epstein with her name unredacted.
People tell me about these emails and they want to tell me this. I don't want to hear it. I know what I said, and it was so wrong. For the government not to protect me.
After finally leaving Epstein's grip, Rosa relocated to the Midwest.
I said, hi, I'm Pat. And that was the first time we talked.
That walk through the gym is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
Another chance encounter with her now husband, Pat, helped turn her life around.
I am in a photo wearing something Jeffrey Epstein gave me.
One person from MC Squared that Rosa recently reached out to is Jeff Fuller, the agency's former president. She says unlike some others, he has not responded, but Fuller recently told CNN that he never saw any abuse at MC Squared.
He said, I'm really sad that nobody said anything.
And with how heartbroken I am already, that made my heart break even more. I guarantee if Jeff Fuller to book his daughter for a photo shoot right now, that would be the last place he would want to send her there.
Internet.
Rosa Gills said she never believed she would make it off Epstein's island alive. She also described one of the most disturbing things she had seen. According to her, some of the girls became so desperate that they hoped to get an STD and pass it to Epstein.
Yes,
they believed this might eventually kill him and end their suffering.
A small percentage that get justice, a small percentage speak out because of that reason. You're vilified in the media. Nobody wants to believe you. I think the times are shifting a bit as us Epstein survivors have come together and are fighting this fight along with many other people in Congress and representatives who are fighting for us.
Yes.
And as you see in the United States, there's a big shift against believing survivors and not these big, powerful men. So Mendelsohn and Andrew, they were in his orbit. I mean, they had the choice as someone in their position of power to say, you know what, too many young girls around, not going there. They had the right to choose that, like many men do, but they were one of the ones that said, hey, this looks like fun, let me join in.
Even after the crimes came to light, both of them, we know, in their own various ways, stood by Jeffrey Epstein and advised him in some cases on how to, get out of prison.
Yes, and we are aware there were many men that checked out after it came to light that he was a prolific predator. There were many men that checked out, and these men, they continued to be friends with him. A lot of powerful men continued to be friends with him and support him and write little emails saying, I've got your back, I support you. This isn't fair, when there were, many young women who came forward during that time. But now we're aware there's 1,200 victims.
Wow.
So it's a little different now, knowing how grand and how many people, young women, children, teens, there were so many different, Jeffrey Epstein had his hand in many different ways.
So many lives were destroyed by that monster. What is even more painful is that many victims have never spoken publicly about what happened. Some simply want to forget those terrible memories and move on.
Those horrific memories
but
buried
one thing
forever.
is clear.
But
Jeffrey Epstein and the people who helped or supported him represent one of the darkest sides of society.
I'm being sued for going to Epstein's Island, which is insane because it's like, out of all the god-awful things that have gone down there, barely anyone faced any real repercussions.
All right, be really careful right here.
This video shows YouTubers sneaking onto the island that once belonged to Jeffrey Epstein. And the new owner isn't happy about it. Billionaire Stephen Deckhoff bought Epstein's 2 islands in 2023 to build a resort. He's since sued 9 influencers and conspiracy theorists, accusing them of trespassing. YouTuber Andrew Peterson told me, that's like buying a concentration camp from the Holocaust and like, yeah, we're gonna turn this into a resort. What are you talking about? I've spent years reporting on Epstein, and at this point, it's pretty hard to surprise me. But I was shocked when I read these court filings about the island's caretaker. She was originally hired by Epstein and was recently charged with assault for allegedly capturing and hog-tying one of these influencers. So how did all this happen? And what the heck is going on that island?
You might think the story ends there. It does not.
Not even close.
Somehow, things get even stranger.
It only gets stranger.
Over the years, YouTube has been filled with videos of influencers and conspiracy theorists going onto the island once owned by Jeffrey Epstein.
All hoping
they wanted to see
uncover
what was left there
behind.
and find answers about Epstein.
One of them was YouTuber
Andrew Peterson.
He told he went there looking for the truth about Epstein's
He said he went there because he wanted to find out more about Epstein's famous island.
That trip didn't exactly end with a souvenir.
But that trip did not exactly end well.
Yep.
He was sued.
While people have spent years asking questions about the powerful figures who associated with Epstein,
this
YouTuber ended up fighting a lawsuit.
This YouTuber ended up dealing with a lawsuit simply because he went onto the island.
After Epstein himself in a federal jail cell in August 2019, the 2 islands were placed under the control of his executors. And in March 2022, they put them on the market for $125 million. About a year later, a billionaire private equity firm founder, Stephen Deckhoff, bought the islands for $60 million and announced his plans to build a resort. His spokesperson told me that Deckhoff and Epstein had never met. But a resort has never been built, and Little St. James looks largely the same. The only visible change was that the so-called temple was repainted white, and the only construction permit Deckhoff has filed was to build a warehouse. That temple was at the center of many conspiracy theories that drew influencers to the island, and as far as I know, more than a dozen YouTubers have gone to film it. I spoke to Andrew Peterson, behind the YouTube channel SideQuest Drew. He chronicled his August 2025 journey to the island in this video.
Wait, watch out, there might be a camera out there.
We're gonna be gone in a second, right?
No, we still have to go to the temple.
He told me he was dead set on landing on Little St. James because he wanted to seek the truth about the island once owned by a famous pedophile. But YouTube videos like his are why he and 8 other people are being sued for for trespassing. The footage shows Andrew and his friends renting kayaks in St. Thomas and paddling to Little St. James. Oh yeah, and a Category 5 hurricane was pummeling the area at the time.
Paddle, paddle! Go!
The videos show them rummaging around the temple and the main house. Deckhoff's lawsuits seek any money the content creators made from their videos. Andrew said his group had already donated $30,000 of the revenue from the videos to Polaris, an organization that fights human trafficking. A spokesperson for Deckhoff told me that trespassers pose a danger for the people who work on the island, and they will continue to pursue every legal remedy, particularly for people who film themselves trespassing and make money off these videos. Andrew told me his group anticipated potential legal consequences, including going to jail, which he said would be pretty insane. But because he viewed going to the island as necessary for his role as an independent journalist, he went anyway.
Hollywood really is something else, right?
Isn't it?
Anyway,
now it's your turn.
Now it is your turn.
Do you think people are connecting
Do you think
dots
people
that
are
were never
connecting
meant to be
things
connected?
that were never meant to be
or is there
connected?
just too much
Or is
smoke
there
for there
so
to
much
be no
evidence
fire?
that there has
Drop
to be
your
something
opinion in the
behind
comments.
it?
I already
Tell
know
me
this
what
one's
you
going to
think
get
in the
messy.
comments.
And remember, kids,
I already know
the
this
next
one
time
is
someone
going to get
tells you
messy.
the government
And
wouldn't do
remember,
that.
the next
yes,
time someone
they
tells
will.
you the
I'll
government
catch you in
would
the
never
next
do
one.
something like that,
Over
well,
there, you
maybe
had to
they
be
would.
rich, very
I will
rich and
see
famous.
you in the next
and
one.
let's